You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Before we get into anything, are you still dealing with the Microsoft Outlook asking for your password every 5 seconds, Bob?
Yes, I am. I've
already brought this up like 4 separate times before we started recording this segment, and Sam's so annoyed with it.
If it's the most exasperated I've ever sounded to start the podcast, it's not that I'm not excited about the podcast. I'm very excited today. This is a very packed podcast, but the office talk around our emails and subscription
People like
service.
us being humanized, Sam. They like knowing that we're just like them. We deal with Outlook problems as well.
Yeah, wasn't it the 20th anniversary of Office Space this week or something like that?
It was. I think it was yesterday, the 20th anniversary of the release of Office Space, in case one of those things where you want to feel very old. Benjamin Hill's coming up for a segment in a little bit, in which we'll talk about another cultural thing that will likely make you feel very old and out of touch also. 20 years since Office Space this week.
I don't have a red stapler handy, but you can't take it away from me even if I did.
Hey, welcome in to this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast from MILB.com. He's Sam Dykstra. My name is Tyler Mon. This is episode number 197, which according to Sam is the sum of the digits of all two-digit prime numbers. 197. Who knew?
Yeah.
Now
something has to be, and it might as well be 197.
We're 3 episodes away from. We're going to be at spring training for episode 200, I believe. That is.
One of us is. I haven't lined up yet who's going to be there, but I'm going to be there before you will.
Yeah, true.
It's not going to sync up.
We don't have any crossover days?
What?
We don't have any crossover days? When do you go back to New York?
The 18th.
Oh, so we'll have, a crossover day.
Yes. We will cross paths in Florida and Arizona.
States. We cross paths in the same universe, just not geographically.
Right.
Let's get started. 3 strikes for this week's episode 197 of the Show Before the Show. Big news in the Major League Baseball world yesterday. Manny Machado, as we all had forecasted going into the 2018-2019 offseason, signs with the San Diego Padres, who give him 10 years and $300 million in the richest contract in baseball history. Manny Machado, a member of the Padres now for the next decade, although he does have an opt-out clause after 5 years. We have talked for so long about the Padres and what they have coming up in the system. One area in which the Padres did not really have a game breaker was third base. And the Padres now have put themselves with a very solidified infield situation. 2 corner spots now, veterans Manny Machado and Eric Hosmer. And if all things work out, they've got a fantastic double play combination up the middle of the infield, and Luis Arias at second base, Fernando Tatis Jr. at short. But how does this signing affect the Padres on the system side, on the player development side? Third base maybe didn't have anybody that blocked, let's say, by this move, but there are still ripple effects from something like this.
Yeah, and what's going to be fascinating for me is to watch what the Padres do next. This is great, and I sent out a tweet immediately when it happened, when Jeff Passman broke the news. Just how exciting an infield this is going to be. You mentioned Luis Arias at second, Fernando Tatis at short, Manny Machado at third. I mentioned Eric Hosmer at first base. The guy's won a World Series. It's exciting to see him play with such young and impressive talent. A lot of people tried to fill up my mention saying Eric Hosmer's not that good anymore. I get it, whatever. Still, that is a really, really, really cool infield, and this is a team that won 66 games last year. This is how the offseason should work. If you are not winning games, you should be trying to improve. This is how rebuild should work. When you get teams on the cusp, when you have Fernando Tatis Jr., almost being major league ready, when you have Arias and Mejia, getting major league time last year, when Chris Paddock is coming up, when Cal Quantrill's coming up, when a lot of these arms are getting better, you add a big superstar talent like Manny Machado into that mix. You don't have to go fully, farm built. You can add, because you're going to save money the first couple of years on all these other guys who are, who will be on pre-arb contracts. This is how the game should work in terms of a rebuild. Now, it's not going to guarantee the Padres a playoff spot this year. I get that. But you asked about the influence on the farm system. What happens next? Does this mean Fernando Tatis Jr., his window gets moved up? We kind of all assumed he'd be up around the All-Star break, maybe end of June, probably after Super 2 status is or Super 2 worries are kind of put aside. Do they bring him up even earlier than that? Because they say, listen, we signed Manny Machado to win now. Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to be our best shortstop. Let's get him here as quickly as possible. Does he come up in late April or May? That'll be something to bear watching. And then one of the other things, if you were on Twitter, Tuesday when the news broke, a lot of people wanted to go contrarian and say, okay, great, can he pitch? The Padres, as the starting rotation looks right now, not that great. It's their biggest hole on the major league side. The minor league side, and we'll get to this here in strike two, it is their strength, their pitching. They have a lot of guys coming up, but Mackenzie Gore is years away. Luis Patino's years away. Not many guys who are going to be at AAA this year, at least not their high ceiling guys. So you want to win this year. Do they maybe dip into this kind of deep farm system that we think is one of the best in baseball, if not the best in baseball? Do they dip into that to go get an arm? The Indians have consistently been rumored to be throwing out, Corey Kluber and Trevor Bauer this offseason. Do the Padres try to trade for one of those guys and get them to lead their rotation? That would be huge. That would put them right in the mix of the NL West. This is just fascinating, and I can't wait to see what the Padres do next. They need to do something next, I think. They need to either get Tatis up early, or they need to make a move for a starting pitcher and not just wait for all this talent to get to the major leagues in 2-3 years' time. But this is one of the fun surprises. Is free agency fixed? Not by any means. I think Tom Verducci had a story yesterday that said, okay, you got 10 years, $300 million, free agency's okay. It's not true.
That was the most bizarre story. Yeah. Proves that free agency is fine, I think was the quote.
Yeah. Craig Kimbrell might be the best reliever in baseball, postseason issues aside, and he doesn't have a job right now. We haven't heard big time money rumors with him. Nope. Bryce Harper's still not signed.
Without a job. Yep.
Yeah, Josh Harrison today signs with the Tigers. Josh Harrison's a player that can help a lot of. That's a rant I'll save for another day. But this doesn't fix everything, but it makes things super, super exciting for the Padres. Just to mention one name, kind of offhand here. You mentioned third base, not a particular point of strength for the Padres. There's always been the thought that Fernando Tatis Jr. could be too big for shortstop.
Right.
Maybe someday he would move over to third. Maybe that happens. Maybe there comes a day where Tatis has to move over, but in the Padres' wildest dreams, this turns into something along the lines of Jeter next to A-Rod. You have a shortstop who can't maybe play the best shortstop, but you get his bat in the lineup every day. You get a guy to his right who is a former shortstop. The defense works there. It'll be fine. One other name I want to mention is Hudson Potts, who would probably be a top 10 prospect in most other systems. He finished the year ranked 23rd in the San Diego system, but we've talked so many times that's an incredibly deep system. He'll probably go up from there. He hit 19 homers last year between Class A Advanced Lake Elsinore and Double A San Antonio. I would expect the Padres to keep him at third base for the time being. He was a first-round pick in 2016. He's only 20 years old. He's not turning 21 until October. Let him develop where he is best, where he's most comfortable. Again, in a dream world, he's pushing for the major leagues in 2020, and you have to move him to a corner outfield spot. Take that issue when it comes. Don't worry about Hudson Potts right now. The Padres, maybe they use him in a trade someday if he continues to show a promising bat. It's worth following, but this is not necessarily like a Josh Naylor situation quite yet, where the Padres signed Eric Hosmer. They moved Naylor from first base to left field because they signed Hosmer for such a long-term deal. Potts is a little behind where Naylor was when he made that move. But yeah, these are all good problems that San Diego is creating for itself. And I can't wait to see what the next few days, few weeks, all of spring is going to be like in San Diego camp.
Yeah, it is an embarrassment of riches in San Diego. I don't know if 2019, I don't think this makes the Padres a contender necessarily in 20. That's a team that won 66 games a year ago. Like, I don't think they're going to be contending for the postseason this year, but to solidify a position like that and have all of these guys who are still pretty low in the system making the climb, the Padres starting in 2020 get really scary and get progressively scarier for the next few seasons after that as these young guys continue their march up toward the major leagues in that San Diego organization. Pretty impressive stuff in San Diego going on right now, and their fans will celebrate by largely going to the beach. That's what you do in San Diego. Strike two this week. Our farm system rankings continue across MILB.com. Pitchers up this week. Sam, run us through it.
Yeah, so we did same thing as we did last week with position players. We broke it up 30 to 21. That was written by Gerard Gilberto. 20 through 11, that was written by Rob Terranova, and then 10 through 1 was written by Chris Bumbaka. Very grateful for them for doing that. It's kind of a staff-wide effort, but those are the guys who did the write-up, so I wanted to make sure they get their due credit. So I'll just run through 10 through 1 real quick, and then I want to explain, especially the top two, which I feel like could be minorly controversial. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Number 10.
Wait, are you saying the top two in the pitching farm system rankings are controversial, Sam?
Yes, a little bit.
Did you happen to switch them around this
I
time?
did not. No. This is much more a collaborative effort. No, I did not. Long listeners of the show will remember a couple years ago when you had the White Sox at number 1,
the White Sox.
Tyler?
I did.
Yes.
Over the break.
I was editing the piece, and I changed it.
Without checking, just changed it. Actually, no, I think
yes.
I'm pretty sure you texted me. You were like, hey, I'm going to switch these because I think you're nuts. And I was like, all right, whatever. But I thought it would be a good
and then blasted me on the podcast.
And then put you on blast on the podcast. Interestingly enough, the top two this year involve one of those teams. But please, roll us through it.
Number 10, St. Louis Cardinals, led by Alex Reyes. Number 9, Philadelphia Phillies. This still comes out after the Sixto Sanchez trade. We really like their depth there. Particularly watch out for Spencer Howard. He was really, really good at the end of last season. A lot of you might remember he was really good in the postseason for Class A Lakewood. Watch out for him, but they've got other cool names like Adonis Medina, Jojo Romero. David Parkinson led the minor leagues in ERA last year. His stuff might not be there, but I'm intrigued by him going into his second year. And a bunch of other AAA guys who are like right there. Eniel De Los Santos, Ranier Suarez, Cole Irvin. Really deep system for the Phillies. That puts them at number 9. Number 8, the Seattle Mariners. They're here because of some big trades they made this offseason you might have heard of and that we discussed on the show, bringing in Justice Sheffield and Justin Dunn. Those are 2 top 100 prospects. A lot of systems don't have 2 top 100 pitching prospects. That moves the Mariners here into the number 8 spot. Number 7, speaking of 2 really good starting pitchers at the top, Jesus Luzardo, the best for the Oakland Athletics. A.J. Puck right behind him, coming off Tommy John last year. Both of those guys could help Oakland this year. 2 of the most exciting left-handers in baseball right now, at least when it comes to prospects. Some other interesting names in there, Dalton Jeffries, Parker Dunshee to kind of watch below that top 100 level. Number 6, this is where it gets really tough. The Detroit Tigers, we have at 6. Casey Mize, they took with the number 1 overall pick last year. Matt Manning, kind of a consensus top 100 guy as well. Then there's some others who used to be top 100, probably in that top 150 range. Franklin Perez, who had a lot of injury issues last year, he's going to have to show he's healthy. Bo Burrows was inconsistent, but can show good stuff from time to time. Alex Fado is a first-round pick. Kyle Funkhauser showed first-round stuff at times in college. So a lot of interesting names in that Tiger system. Number 5, we have the Chicago White Sox. Michael Kopech will miss all of this season because of Tommy John surgery, but Dylan Cease was one of the most exciting starting pitchers in all of minor league baseball last year. Add him to a mix with Dane Dunning, Alex Hansen, who is going to be trying to bounce back into the top 100 himself. Cody Medeiros, they picked up from the Brewers last year. Some really, really interesting arms in that White Sox system. Number 4, we have the Houston Astros with Forrest Whitley. They actually have 4 top 100 guys, and that's what's going to break you through here. Forrest Whitley, best pitching prospect in baseball. Really wish he could have pitched all of the 2018 season. Decent chance he's not a prospect if that was the case. Really expect him to impact this Houston rotation this year. Josh James, we talked about him for the projection series. He did impact that rotation last year. He's kind of entering spring right now unless they make some other signings as they're either number 4 or number 5 starter. Corbin Martin and J.B. Bukowskis coming in right behind those guys, breaking back into the top 100 for them. So those are the 4 guys there for the Astros. Number 3, we have the Tampa Bay Rays. You might remember we had them at number 1 for position players. Really, really like the depth they have in pitching as well. Brendan McKay, a lot of people think he's going to be a pitcher long term. They make a big pick last year with Matthew Liberatore. They pick up Shane Baz from the Pirates. Shane McClanahan was the 31st overall pick last year as well. Colin Pache was our minor league reliever of the year. Really going to be really cool to see him pitch this year. Good depth here with the Rays, as well as the kind of headliner. And I didn't even mention Brent Honeywell yet, who is coming back from Tommy John surgery this year. Might have one of the deepest arsenals we've seen in the minors since he's debuted a couple of years ago. Really excited to see him healthy and throwing. Can't wait to see what he can do in 2019 and how quickly he can climb. This is where it gets controversial, I think, a little bit. Number 2, we have the San Diego Padres. The Padres have 7 pitchers in MLB.com's top 100, running through some of them very quickly. Mackenzie Gore, we've mentioned Chris Paddock, who has one of the best fastball changeups combinations in all of minor league baseball. Adrian Morejon, Michel Baez, Logan Allen, Luis Patino, Ryan Weathers. Some really, really good arms in this system, and it is deep as anybody you're going to find. Really good. The reason why they're not number 1 is because the Atlanta Braves exist. And, maybe with some graduations, we're not talking about the Braves in this spot. What I think tips the Braves over for me is, and I think we agreed on this, the group that wrote these pitcher rankings, we all came to kind of an agreement on this, is with the Padres, they have the ceiling and they have the depth. Braves also have depth and they have some ceiling, but the floor is much higher. There are so many question marks about guys in that Padres system that just don't exist here with the Braves. Mike Soroka, Kyle Wright, Touki Toussaint, and Bryce Wilson all made their major league debuts last year. They're all now top 100 pitchers. Ian Anderson climbed to Double-A. He's now a non-roster invitee. He's looking more and more like a sure thing. Colby Aller debuted last year, and he's no longer a top 100 prospect, but he could still be kind of a number 5 swingman, and his major league future looks very real right now, as opposed to somebody like Luis Patino, who, yes, higher ceiling, probably better stuff. Decent chance he never sees the major leagues. At least Colby Allard has been there. So when we look at this Braves group, and we can keep going on, Joey Wentz, Kyle Muller, Huascar Tristan Beck, and Trey Riley coming out of the draft last year. This Braves list just keeps rolling on. But what we're looking at here is, are these arms going to impact the major league roster? These Braves arms have already done that. We know they can do that. And that kind of tips them into the number 1 spot here. 10 years down the road, maybe all the Padres guys we talked about hit their ceiling, and that's super exciting, and that's great. Maybe this time next year, the Braves graduate a lot of guys, come out of the top 5, and the Padres move up and start doing laps around everybody else in this field. That's certainly possible with another year of development for those lower level pitchers. But as things stand right now, give me the closer to sure things than the multiple lottery tickets that exist in the San Diego system.
So a controversial top 2 in which the Atlanta Braves finished number 1 with Sam in charge of the story. You can voice your gripes at sam.dykstra@braves.com.
Yeah.
And we will, Sam on the Braves payroll. It's a good living.
Listen, I have the overall rankings, and if you want to chirp me then, you can chirp me then. Just don't. like, don't accuse me of any Braves bias until I write the piece that I need to write.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
I made it too easy on myself when I did that. Like, I get it.
All right, strike three this week. See if you can tell, by the way, when we get to Ben's segment, which of these segments we recorded first. I'm not confused on this topic. Strike three. The Oscars are this weekend. And Sam had a fantastic idea for strike three, which is if you were going to pitch a minor league baseball movie idea around prospects, what would it be?
I think we did this question a couple of years ago around Oscar time, and I brought up the idea of, following Cuban players, as they sign, or not just Cuban players, but like any international players, especially from the Caribbean, and how they kind of have tumultuous signings. Especially Cuban guys trying to get out of Cuba, trying to defect. I'm going to kind of take that differently now because the game has changed in terms of that. It's easy. It's a little easier anyway for Cuban guys to sign than it used to be. But I think it would be kind of cool, and this could be a fictionalized version of this, to make like a decision, like the decision, LeBron's decision.
Like LeBron's decision? Yeah.
But for somebody like, Victor Mesa. Turn that into a movie because, international signing rules have changed a lot now. It isn't just so much who can offer you the most money. It's not Yohan Moncada getting $31.5 million from the Boston Red Sox.
The only similar thing I can think to this is ball player Pelotero, which was the story of Miguel Sano during his process coming up as an amateur and eventually signing with the Minnesota Twins.
Right. Now it's so much more uniform. In terms of, it's a hard cap. There's only so much money you can get. That's going to kind of open it up a little bit, at least in terms of July 2nd signings that you are going to sign on July 2nd. But, we know some of the machinations behind this. A lot of guys basically know they're going to sign long before July 2nd. This should be more geared towards somebody like Victor Mesa or Yolbert Sanchez, who's going through this now. The Baltimore Orioles notoriously did not spend internationally in their old, front office regime. Now they bring in a new one and they're going through a rebuild, and they've said, listen, this is going to be a priority for us. We are going to be on the international market. Now, because they didn't spend much on July 2nd, they have a lot of money. So Yolbert Sanchez, coming out of Cuba, good shortstop, really good fielder, good arm, good run tool, all that kind of stuff, could really help out their system. They have the most money to offer him, yet he hasn't signed yet. So we know there's kind of like a decision-making process that's going on in the background of, do you take the money or do you wait for July 2nd, again, when more teams can kind of open up a little bit, open up the purse strings and just wait that out. I would love to see that turned into either a documentary or kind of a fictionalized version, to create a prospect out of Cuba, base it on a real story, somebody like the Mesas or Sanchez or what have you. Because, this is life-altering money. We know that. But it's also, it's a life-altering decision on where do you want to play baseball? What type of front office do you want to play for? Who's going to do the best for your development? Who has worked best with, Hispanic players before, Latino players before, who's going to make it easier for you to transition to the United States. Those are stories that I think we just kind of all assume, be like, okay, yeah, Wander Franco gets signed, he gets thrown in Princeton, does really well. That's a great success story. It's very difficult for that to happen. So just having those background stories be told in kind of a cinematic or documentary fashion would be really neat and really telling, I think.
I've got two ideas. Number one, a dramatic story around a top prospect in baseball who is maybe the greatest hitter in a generation, but his father was maybe the greatest hitter of his generation, and trying to live in the shadow while also crafting your own identity as a young phenom. It's almost maybe a little tiny bit inspired by Vlad Guerrero Jr. Maybe.
I think you might have to get his life rights. Yes, I think.
a little bit to this story. Might have been coming out of the storyline of Vlad Guerrero Jr. The other one, and this is off the wall, but this is something that I actually very much really want to research and want to learn about and would love for somebody to make a movie on. There was the Netflix documentary, The Battered Bastards of Baseball, as people recall. There was an outfielder on the Portland Mavericks during that season, whose name was Reggie Thomas. And again, the Portland Mavericks at that time were like a hybrid affiliated / independent team. Like I think they had some players on that team who were signed to contracts, but most of the guys were unsigned and played as independent players, but they were in an affiliated league. They played in the Northwest League. It was a very strange situation. Reggie Thomas evidently just disappeared. Like, no one knows what happened to Reggie Thomas. And there were rumors that Reggie Thomas was an FBI informant, and he just disappeared off the face of the earth. He played in Portland in 1975 and 76. He resurfaced in Boise in 1978 when he was 32 years old, and then just, like, nobody ever heard from him again. So I think somebody should actually do a story on that. And it's weird because Baseball Reference both lists a death for him as just 1980, no date, but they also list what his age would be if he's still alive, 72. It's very weird. It's very weird. Ever since I saw that documentary, I was like, they just mentioned in passing, like, oh, we had this weird dude named Reggie Thomas. Nobody ever heard what happened to him. Maybe he was an FBI informant. And they didn't delve into it at all. It's like, what? What? How could you not talk about this? So I actually really would like somebody to do something on Reginald Albert Thomas, former Houston Astros, Atlanta Braves, New York Mets, Cleveland Indians, and Philadelphia Phillies.
Better yet, you know what? I'm an optimist. I'd like to imagine Reggie Thomas, 72-year-old, has figured out podcasts.
Track him down.
Yeah, is listening to this right now. Let us know where you are, Reggie Thomas.
Reggie, get in touch, man. Please.
You know where to find us. Just drop us a line saying, I am Reggie Thomas. This is where to find me in Boise, Idaho. We will find you.
Yeah, exactly. We'll come out, and I'm not that far of a drive away. I could make he's referred to, by the way, in several different stories coming up on Google as the Maverick star from that year. Reggie Thomas was let's see what his actual line was during his time in Portland. Evidently, you can also buy a Reggie Thomas Portland Mavericks jersey on the internet. During his time in the Northwest League, he batted over 300, a 306 average, and a 900 PS. So, yeah, that would probably get the job done. But just disappeared. That's what?
Yeah.
Huh? What is he, DB Cooper?
I was going to say, are we sure he didn't jump out of a plane without a parachute?
Maybe, with a bag of money. Reggie Thomas. Well, have we ever seen him and DB Cooper in the same place at the same time? No. Unless he's on that flight. I don't know. I wasn't on that flight. And the other one that I thought would be really interesting, the Philadelphia Phillies have a prospect from Moscow. Not Moscow, Idaho. Moscow, Russia. Anton Kuznetsov, who pitched last season in the GCL and I think made the climb up to Williamsport at one point last year. But he's got a really interesting story where he basically just his parents sent him out for baseball because they needed him to find something to do. And it turned out that he was super good at it. He debut season in the GCL, pitched in 15 games, put up a 0.36 ERA. So maybe Anton Kuznetsov is just he's a star from an untapped baseball market. He wasn't quite as good last year, but we'll gloss over.
Yeah, no, that's all right. And we know that baseball is nothing if not a copycat sport where once something becomes popular and seems to work, everybody goes. So all of a sudden scouts are just going to show up in his town.
Although nobody jumped on that story after I did my Eastern League tour of the Soviet Union thing. I thought I was going to drive this big scouting rampage toward Russia and just didn't
that you know of.
But,
you know.
That I know of.
We know
that
one thing.
True. Could be going on behind the scenes.
The Reds are in Russia.
Could be going on behind the scenes. Oh, God. It's a Sam Dykstra joke, everyone.
A joke from 1977.
MILV.com.
The Reds are in Russia.
Sam's big with the Cold War humor crowd. Yeah. We're getting a lot of them. So that'll do it for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. Coming up, we're going to head to the Washington Nationals organization right-handed pitcher Sterling Sharp, not the former NFL tight end, but instead a pitcher who has climbed the ranks into the top 10 in that system's rankings for 2019. Sterling Sharp joins the show next. In the Washington National system, a high-rising right-hander has jumped into the top 10 in the newest prospect rankings from MLB Pipeline coming into this season. The newly minted 9th-ranked prospect in the Washington organization is right-handed pitcher Sterling Sharp, who joins the show. Sterling, welcome, man. How's things? You already in Florida getting things rolling for this year?
Yeah, thank you for having me. And, I got down about a week ago, and we just started our official day of early camp today.
So tell us about the start to when you get down there the first few days. What's the regimen like for you guys? What's the most important thing for you personally to get kind of the spring rolling on the right foot?
For us right now, we are just throwing. We have 10s every other day, and then we condition and lift right after. And for me, just a routine getting down in the spring, just getting back to throwing every day, getting your body right for the everyday grind that we're about to go through for the next month and a half, and just trying to get your flexibility down, your mobility, stay hydrated, and just ready to go for a month and a half.
What's over the span of the offseason, how often do you get to throw? Because I think people just kind of assume like, oh, well, they must still be throwing all the time over the offseason. That's not necessarily the case, especially you threw 148 in the third innings last year, so I would think you probably took a little bit of time to rest. When you get your offseason work started, how often are you actually throwing? Because that ramps up a ton when you get into February.
Right. We have a program that we start mid to end December, so we get a good 2.5 months off the throne, maybe 3. And then after that, once it starts, you might go the first month every other day, pretty light, maybe 10 minutes of up to 90 feet. And then after that, you start working back to 120, probably around 10, 15 minutes. And then you start stretching it out, and then you get off a mound, I would say after about a month and a half is your first maybe flat ground or pin.
And through this offseason in particular, as Tyler mentioned, you're coming off 148 in the third innings last year, finishing up at Double-A. What were you able to take from last season and kind of put into this offseason work? I know you tweeted out a video a couple weeks back, I think, about your slot or your cutter and your sinker, how those are going to be a problem this year. I think the pitching ninja jumped on top of that. But what have you been focusing on when you have been pitching?
I think the last season I had, having a four seam just to be able to show the lefties, because lefties were the guys that really gave me trouble last year, and it showed more once I got up to Double-A. Just having that extra something to get lefties out. There's righties, the sink somewhat gives them a problem more than lefties, just because lefties can stay on it better and they can slap it to the left field. But having the cutter and just show more of a little bit four seam to lefties to try to keep them off balance. And I think that'll help me going into next year having 4 legit pitches and not just staying arm side hard and soft with changeups.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the sinking action on your fastball, and you've kind of developed this reputation as a sinker ball pitcher. I mean, the numbers bring that out as well. I think he had twice as many ground outs last year as air outs between Double-A and Class A advanced. At what point in your either pro career, or even dating back to college, high school days, did you realize, this is going to be my strength? This is how I'm going to get guys out, is just getting them to pound it into the ground over and over and over again?
Sinker I didn't pick up until my second spring training, the first spring training down in West Palm after we moved from Vieira, Florida. And that was just, I looked at a video of Trinan's interview with Dan Coco down in Miami, one of their series. And I saw his grip and went out the next day in spring training throwing it. And it was doing what it was supposed to. And I liked the feel of it because I used to throw 2 seams, but the sink just felt better and it had the action I wanted. And that whole spring I was pretty much sinker, changeup. And then the years after that's been my go-to pitch now.
Yeah, and how do you kind of approach that in the modern game? I mean, today so much is driven by strikeouts. That's one of the first things people look at in terms of, is this guy a good pitcher? Is he striking batters out at about a batter an inning? You struck out 105 and 148 in the third innings last year, but because you get so many ground balls, so much weak contact, you're still able to be a good pitcher, which kind of makes you a little bit of an anomaly in today's game. How do you kind of find yourself fitting in with the way, the game is trending right now with its, pitchers trying to limit contact as much as possible?
Yeah, I think the big thing is just finding out who you are. And for me, that was the sinker. Everybody's not going to have the electric high spin rate fastball, high 90s that can strike guys out and have a wipeout breaking ball. So my strengths were sinker and changeup and weak contact, and I'd rather get quick out to maybe 2-3 pitches and go 7 innings on 70-80 pitches, and I can always have a pitch that could get me out of a tough situation with that sinker. I can be first and second just in a jam, and I can get 2 outs with 1 pitch, and the hits are going to come just because the stuff isn't as high as guys that really have a wipeout slider or high velocity. But so I kind of accepted that some hits might squeak through, but I'm always able to get a tough out if I need it with that sinker.
So let's talk about your first few professional seasons. A lot of organizations with pitchers sometimes will, depending on where they are in their careers, they'll keep them away from that midseason promotion. And the Nationals have trusted you with midseason promotions in all 3 of your seasons. You go from the GCL to Auburn in year number 1, Hagerstown to Potomac in year number 2, and then Potomac to Harrisburg last year. But I want you to take me through those 2 stops in Potomac. You go there in 2017 for 6 outings. You make 5 starts there, and you go there to start 2018 with 14 starts, and your numbers make that jump the second time through in the Carolina League. To be able to finish up, get some experience at that high A level in 2017 and package that all over the offseason and take it into 2018, what do you think the biggest difference was in taking that step forward this past year?
I think that season was me more trusting my stuff, especially the sinker, since that's my go-to, but just trusting that it will turn into a ground out if I stay committed to it and throw it confidently, that they will put it on the ground. And that forced me to just throw the ball in the strike zone more and not really worry about leaving it around the middle of the plate, because if you just throw it down the middle, it's going to have some action. And so don't really be too picky with the sinker, and that's kind of what limited my walks and got more action early in the count, to just attack hitters.
Your athleticism is something that's highlighted in your MLB Pipeline bio, and I know your listed height and weight is 6'4", 170, and they note you could have played college basketball. And I feel like for sinker ball guys, being tall and having long limbs and the angles that you come at and the levers you control, that makes it really difficult on hitters. Your profile as a pitcher, how do you think the frame and your delivery and your athleticism, how does that enhance what you already do well as a pitcher?
From the video that I've seen, I think that my delivery plays pretty well into this style for me, more of a sinker ball pitcher, because I think I hide the ball pretty well. I would say I hide the ball pretty well, and it's kind of a low 3/4 arm slot, so it's kind of coming out of behind the right-handed hitters, and that's why for lefties that was my main focus, to have something to combat left-handed hitters. Because right-handed hitters, it was easier at bat for me, for a righty than a lefty.
And I'm glad you brought up video there. I talked earlier about you sharing video of your cutter and of your sinker. And you have one of our favorite social media accounts to follow, I think, on Twitter through the MILB account. And you're very active on there, and it's really fun to see. But how do you feel like that's changed? In just the 3 years, or even when you were in high school, how much guys are sharing video or even watching video just to determine, let's run that back. Let's see the action on my pitches. Let's see how my delivery is working. How much has that changed just in the last couple of years, you think?
It's huge, I think, because, you can learn so much more, I think, from just being able to see something happen, because some guys might not be able to feel it right away. That's kind of a feel thing, but some guys are visual learners, and if they can see what they need to do or what something is going wrong, that's just a plus, and it's easier for guys to pick up on the things that way.
So what's something you feel like you've picked up watching video that maybe you've changed recently or even over the long term that's helped make you a better pitcher?
I think last year was actually the first year in Potomac. It was my end of the year where we started looking at videos. Velo was kind of down, and I was getting hit a little bit. The sinker was flattening out, and we kind of noticed I was getting tired towards the end of the year, and I was kind of stepping across my body more than I already have. But I already do, but this was kind of a bit more extreme, and that made the sinker flatten out. And that was just the one thing I wouldn't have been able to really figure out without video. And I'm glad that we did catch on to it, and I was able to battle that last month being somewhat beat up, tired, and got through it with the video.
Cool. So speaking of video, I wanted to bring this up before we let you go in a couple minutes here. But while I was thinking about your Twitter account, your pinned tweet right now, if anybody hasn't seen it, and your Twitter account is @dudes_stir42. Find him on Twitter. Find this tweet if you can. But you said, in case @MILB or MLB ever decides to have a dunk contest, and then you have this really cool video. I think it's from 2017, dunking between your legs, then throwing it up, some better than some of the stuff we saw last weekend at the All-Star game. My question here is this: how many takes did it take for you to get that? Because we only see you do it successfully. And two, if there was a dunk contest, let's say like at the Futures game or ahead of the home run derby, what could you pull off now? What is the trick you would use to one up yourself from this video?
The take, that was actually my very first one.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I was home from, I think it was Christmas break, my junior year or sophomore year of college, whatever year that was. And then I was just going back to my high school, and during layup lines, I usually hop in for them just to be around the guys. And that was the first take. My brother decided to whip out the phone at the right time. First one, I got it. And that was probably my third time doing it between the legs. And if I was in dunk, I can pull it off now, off the backboard and then between the legs.
Man.
You say it very casually for speaking to two people who would love to touch rim at one point in their lives. But
I could do that too if the backboard was like 6 feet tall and I didn't have to jump.
Yeah, there we go. Trampolines involved, still 6 feet, all that kind of stuff.
That's how I practice.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Do you know of anybody in baseball who could give you a run for your dunking crown? Like who have you come across in baseball that might challenge you with that?
I've seen Monte Harrison. I've seen some of his videos. He can get up. Joe Adele, seen him. And Jordan Adams, that one viral video he put up.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, I really want this to happen now.
Yeah.
Like, I really want this to happen.
Let's wield our minimal power and organize an MILB dunk contest. I'm sure major league organizations would be fine with that.
Yeah. If only the Angels were in Florida, we would organize this right now. Get Monte up from Jupiter. Sterling's in West Palm. We can make this happen.
Oh, man. Sterling, let's talk a little bit about your pre-professional career. You had a really interesting collegiate route. As a freshman, you go to Eastern Michigan, pitch one season for Eastern Michigan, and then you transfer from the Division I level to the Division II level, and you go to Drury University. You got to sit out a year. You pitch one season at the D2 level, and then you get drafted. Take us through that whole process, because it's a really interesting story in which over a 3-year span, you only play 2 seasons, still get drafted, but you went through a lot over that time. Walk us through those few years.
Yeah, it was actually one more school in there. It was Eastern, and then there was a lot going on at Eastern. We had a new AD come in, and she kind of cleared house and brought her people in. So I decided to go JUCO and try to get out after that sophomore year into the draft early. So I went down to Darton State in Georgia for my sophomore year.
Interesting.
And that year had a pretty good year. Just the draft didn't work out, so I was actually a couple of credits short from going back to a D1 because the credits from Eastern didn't transfer. So then that got into a tricky situation. So I went to Drury, where I got back with the pitching coach from Eastern Michigan. And then that year had a okay year and got drafted and made the most out of that.
that season, when you go from your pitching at the D2 level, and then all of a sudden you're a professional ball player, and the numbers, your numbers at Drury, you put up an ERA of 5.9 in 18 games, and then you get into pro ball and you get a 3.28 ERA thrown out there over 12 outings. You make 8 starts in your debut pro season. When you looked back on that first season, what did that feel like to go from like, man, I was a JUCO pitcher and a D2 pitcher just a little while ago. Now I'm a professional pitcher, and obviously you've made a climb, slipping into the top 30 last year. Now you're in the top 10 in an organization. Like this run has been pretty damn impressive compared to what a lot of guys get over the first few years of their careers.
Yeah, thank you. And this is, I think, it just freed up some ability for me to get into a routine and actually be able to get into a pro ball routine where you're doing baseball activities every single day, and you'll be able to get your talent or your routine down. And just this is something that in college you don't really have the luxury of being baseball all day and focusing your time on that as much as you can.
All right, certainly. Well, we'll send you out on this one. You ended last year at AA, as we've said a couple times. Probably going to start out there again this year. But AA, in our conversations with prospects over the years, people have always said that's where you start to feel it. That's when you can really see the show within reach. How does that make this spring different? Does it feel any different to you, knowing you're probably going to open 2 stops away? You've been 2 stops away. You've shown an ability to, as Tyler asked you before, rise at least 1 level every season. How different does this spring feel, knowing your proximity to the majors?
Yeah, I try to treat it every spring training like the same, but I mean, obviously this one is a bigger stakes, I would say, because I have a chance to put myself in a good situation and hopefully start off in AA good, like the last couple of years, start the first half of the season well and be named All-Star, and then hopefully get a call up mid-season.
Well, it's been a pretty impressive last couple of seasons for Sterling Sharp, who is now the 9th-ranked prospect in the Washington Nationals organization. You can find him on Twitter, as Sam said. You can tweet your dunk videos at him. Presumably, he can give you a grade on what you need to work on going forward if you want to try to get in on this MILB dunking action. But Sterling, thanks so much for the time, man. Congrats on all the success so far, and best of luck this year.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
A lot to get to with Benjamin Hill this week, as it has been for the last few weeks. We welcome Ben to the show. Ben, are you likewise dealing with our long national nightmare of Outlook never not asking for your password?
Yeah, but you know what? Before I just recently updated Windows, and I was dealing with that until just about a month or 2 ago, and then I had a brief respite.
No, and now it came back?
And now it came back, yeah.
So welcome back to our podcast, Office Talk.
It's just it's getting to me. I have to get everybody's input on it. Well, let's dive in, Ben. This week, minor league baseball attendance news out. We've also got some Copa de la Diversión items to get to. Let's talk about the attendance thing first.
Well, this is my weekly MILB.com feature. This will be the 3rd year in a row I've done a variation of this story. There is a man named David Kronheim, I believe is his name. That is his name. I'm just always a little unsure how to pronounce people's last names. So David Kronheim, a.k.a. the Number Tamer. You can go to thenumbertamer.com and click on baseball reports. He does, bar none, the most in-depth, and if you're into, it's just numbertamer.com, Sam. I see Sam trying to pull it up, but he wrote The Number Tamer.
All right,
no articles of description here.
Yeah, we got it. Anyway, you can go to this site, numbertamer.com, click on baseball reports. It's all free. It's in many ways a labor of love for the Number Tamer to do this. He is always, David, a.k.a. the Number Tamer, has always been in regular touch with me, and is always telling me about his attendance reports, and I appreciate the work he does. So there's so many angles you could take with these in-depth reports that are, literally a couple hundred pages. This year, I'm just doing a level-by-level look at, just each classification, the biggest per-game gainers of 2018 as compared to the year before. I go by per game instead of total attendance because it seems a little more fair, because sometimes teams lose a whole lot of openings, mostly due to weather, so their overall total might be hurt, but their per game might be okay. So if you enjoy attendance numbers, attendance figures, who's doing well and why, that'll be the story tomorrow. And, spoiler alert, but this kind of goes without saying, the biggest attendance gain in 2018 was, surprise, the only team with a new ballpark, Augusta, gained almost 1,300 per game increase in 2018. So that is not surprising, but the biggest one. There are some that are kind of surprising. Sam, Tyler, would you guess the biggest AA attendance increase in 2018?
Well, see, I was just scrolling through here, and of course, Tim Tebow gets, I think, multiple bullets. So I will guess Binghamton.
That's a good guess. That was number 3 in AA. I think because he got injured fairly early on in the season, and the weather, even though he was a driver of attendance, the weather was also so bad, especially in markets like Binghamton, they didn't gain quite as much. But you're on the right track in AA, the right league. And one of the few scenarios where it would be kind of player oriented or player motivated, because as we know in minor league baseball, in most cases the players on the field don't really drive attendance, but this team might have had the players drive attendance.
New Hampshire
Fisher Cats, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you led me to the well, and then I drank.
I did, but you had a good initial guess, and then we worked together. This is a team effort.
Yes.
But yeah, every team has its own story in terms of why its attendance went up or down. Obviously, if I had endless time, I could write 160 stories on attendance. But this is just a quick overview, and it'll be up on the site milb.com tomorrow, which will be today if you were listening to this podcast on the day in which it comes out.
There you have it. The MILB attendance growth is one of the – I mean, every year we talk about what the keys are to kind of continuing your push into your community. And one of the big things that's coming up soon, the Copa de la Diversión, there's a story up. It's a release from MILB.com that 72 teams this year will join that program in 2019. So keep an eye out for that, because we're going to have a lot more on that as well. But we're going to segue from these conversations. Those are things that make minor league teams successful. Ben, if you were pitching a movie idea around teams or the business of minor league baseball. I'm trying to make this sound organic. Ben and Sam just put this in the email, but now I'm really intrigued as to what the answer of it is. Your pitch based around clubs or the business of minor league baseball for a movie. Let's hear it.
Well, this might be a little of not an unfair answer, but I know we're talking movies right now, but something that people have
on Sunday.
Yeah, the Oscars are on Sunday.
That's why I put it in the email, Tyler. Thank you very much.
I get it.
Is this paid content? Or the
Oscars? The Academy Awards are our first official sponsor.
Show Before the Show podcast brought to you by the Academy.
Yes. Well, please make sure to watch the ceremony this Sunday evening on ABC. On ABC. Yeah, so my answer is a little bit of a cheat or a slight diversion, but this is an actual conversation I've had with multiple people independent of one another. But people know what I do and the kind of angle I have. And so this has been pitched to me, not like I have the power to make something like this happen, but more like an ensemble comedy similar to, The Office, but the front office. That could be a movie, but I think that is the pitch I would make, whether we're talking about a movie show or a TV show, of, focusing on the internal dynamics, the relationships among all these different people coming from different places and all kind of forced to interact in pretty tight quarters and long hours over the course of a season. And you think of all the natural comedy that could ensue from these sort of things, like whatever confusion can result from having to go pick up a player at the airport and not being able to find them, missing mascot head and at the exact time the mascot's supposed to do like a between inning routine.
A guy who comes in apparently once every 3 years and has to roam your ballpark for free and eat all your food.
Would that be me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm trying to get you a bit part in your own show, Ben.
Yeah, I would like a plot based on the anxiety of a Ben's Biz visit. Oh no, that guy is coming.
This guy
Real.
just
That's a real thing in minor league front offices. It's like you're getting a government inspection. It's like, how do we make this place look good?
Yeah. It shocks me to feel like I might have any power, which I'm not sure I do. But for any team that's cared that I visit, please don't be scared of me. I just want to see you and meet you, have a good time. But so that's a little bit of a, not total. I think it would probably be better TV show,
right.
But the front office, and I wouldn't want it to be a parody of The Office, but that sort of dynamic I think is rich. And if anyone wants to develop a series like that, have me as a consultant or advisor, I'd be happy to. I'm sure Tyler could to pitch in as well, having been a veteran of existing within that dynamic for various years of your life, for sure.
We have a dude on staff who's done a lot of screenwriting in his life, and Josh Jackson. He and I have discussed things like this. We've already got the team. Let's just cut this segment out because we've already got this thing figured out.
We're redacting ideas.
Nobody's taking this idea. This segment is actually just going to be a 5-minute long audio tone. Just a beep, just blocking out this whole thing. So nobody can hear it. Not really.
I was going to say, does that mean we can say whatever we want now?
Yeah, well,
we can just curse with impunity.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's a really good idea because it is a very unique, to say the least, working atmosphere.
And then, what's that show, Brockmire, right?
Yeah.
That's not front office. That's an announcer, and that's a completely different world. And
right.
A very narrow plot. I feel like there's so many other opportunities and so many other stories to tell. I don't think a lot of people know like how much involvement there is in a minor league front office, and how you have your different departments, but how much overlap there is as well.
And the thing that kind of drives me insane, and I'm sure it's the same with you guys, but like when I watch a TV show or a movie that's about sports and I see things happen, then I'm like, that would never happen. Like that, Brockmire. I love Brockmire, but it's about a fictional minor league team that's independent, and it's very much a cliche kind of, they're by the shoestrings, they're barely making it by in this small town, and everything else has gone out of business, and the team's barely hanging on, and this evil corporation wants to tear down the ballpark, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's a lot of tropes like that, but there are a lot of things that actually happen in minor league front offices that are fascinating, and I think would be fascinating to the average person, not just like a bunch of nerds who work in minor league front offices tuning in and finding it interesting. Like even when it was very much like Through the Looking Glass, but when Eastbound and Down filmed season 3 in Myrtle Beach, I was working there, and being part of a front office that was creating a fake minor league atmosphere for a fake minor league team while working in a real atmosphere of minor league baseball for a real minor league team, like that kind of stuff is fascinating. And I think that the crossover would be very easy to make work between the weird world of minor league baseball and that external stuff where you could project it in a fun way. Yeah,
very meta, a little winking.
That's the word.
Yeah, layers upon layers upon layers.
Layers upon layers. Yeah. What's going to win Best Picture on Sunday, since this is the Show Before the Show podcast brought to you by the Academy?
I'm going to pick The Favorite, as in just whatever.
Favorite with a U.
Whatever has the best odds.
Oh, come on.
That was very good.
I was like, that's going to be a very nuanced take from Ben. Like, that's
good.
Favorites in the mix. That could be interesting.
Whatever the people think is going to win, just go with The Favorite. That's my horse racing strategy too.
Sam, what are you going with?
Roma.
Yeah, I haven't even seen Roma, and I'm going to pick Roma. Just of what I've heard.
I highly recommend seeing it.
I got to watch it before Sunday. I'm actually in the Oscars pool with one of our editors, Paige Schechter, doing just a for fun pool of she knows that I'm kind of a nerdy film person, and so we were talking about Oscar stuff, and I have not seen nearly enough things this year, but everything I've heard about Roma, I'm just like, yeah, I kind of feel like that's going to do it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautifully told movie. It's a lot of different scenes around the theme, I would say, but each one is really, really cool and really different and unique in a story that I don't feel like has been told. Bohemian Rhapsody is fun if you like Queen songs for an hour and a half, and Green Book doesn't bring anything new to the table. What?
Sounds like you did not like Bohemian Rhapsody. It's fun if you like Queen songs for an hour and a half.
No, I really like Queen, but like I really enjoyed the concert scenes, and it's Freddie Mercury, for crying out loud. Like, so much meat on that bone you could talk about, and they kind of just like get me to the concerts ASAP.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay.
Speaking of concerts, though, we should bring this up before we let Ben go, about this Chattanooga tie-in with like a Korean pop band that I'm going to sound really old and say I've never heard of before, but what was the story?
You think of the Chattanooga Lookouts.
Yeah, so this is just a little bizarre thing. I'm going to do a little more researching into it tomorrow and should have a blog post up. Caught me completely off guard. The Chattanooga Lookouts, AA team in the Southern League, they tweeted on Friday in honor of BTS tweet. This is an account at BTS_TWT. In honor of BTS tweets J-Hope's birthday, we've got a billboard up to celebrate. BTS Army. Be sure to check it out through his B-Day Monday. And then there's a picture of a billboard that is actually kind of attached to the stadium itself that says Happy Birthday J-Hope. And J-Hope is a member of this Korean boy band, a pop band called BTS. So it's Friday afternoon. I see this tweet and I just see the retweets and the likes just going crazy. As we're speaking right now, there are 21,809 retweets, 63,914 likes, probably, in the top 2 probably of most engaged with minor league team tweets of all time. I quote tweeted this tweet and just said, I'm not exactly sure what's going on. And, something to that effect. And I ended up with probably my own personal, most engaged with tweet of all time. What it comes down to is this band, who I'd maybe heard the name in passing, but I never really thought about who they are. They're obviously very popular in Korea, but they are now globally popular. They have a massive group of fans who are into them. The Chattanooga Lookouts, through their iHeartRadio one of their local FM radio station partners, I think they've been playing BTS music at the ballpark and kind of got hip to what a phenomenon this is. And, so they partnered the radio station, the Lookouts, to say, hey, let's get a birthday message up for J-Hope. And it became a global phenomenon. My quote tweet expressing confusion about all this, the BTS Army responded again and again, but they were all so nice. You think about the internet and you think about people just always being.
Or when you think of calling something an army.
No, it's look up the BTS Army. They're an army.
I get that they exist. It's just like the fact that they're called the Army.
But it wasn't kind of like, you idiot, how could you not know this, or why, what is your confusion about, or anything like that. It was just kind of like, BTS are this band and we love them. Like, check out this song, check out this email. They're like sending like blue hearts my way or something. The Sacramento River Cats, whose Twitter account is clearly run by a BTS fan, responds to my tweet with like Stan BT7 Ben or some something like that, and that has like 1,000 some likes, and then that got responses like, ooh, look, we have an intellectual. And I think that's a reference when like BTS fans talk to each other and someone makes a good reference, then they post about, ooh, an intellectual. So the BTS Army thinks the Sacramento River Cats Twitter account is representative of an intellectual because of their response to me expressing confusion over the Chattanooga Lookouts billboard celebrating J-Hope's birthday.
Oof.
It's fascinating. My favorite reply to Ben's tweet, a woman named Gemma Simmons replied, drove the hour and a half to see it, slightly was convinced it wasn't real, but happy it was, and she posted her own picture of it. She drove an hour and a half to find this billboard and post a picture of it through a rainy car window. That is pretty impressive dedication.
Absolutely. The BTS Army will stop at nothing to celebrate BTS. And I learned through the replies to this tweet that these birthday messages are a common K-pop tradition to do this kind of thing. Okay. So there is precedent. This was all helpfully explained to me by the kindest people on the internet. I really want to like BTS now because everyone's so kind. I'm having a little trouble really getting into the music, but I'm going to try. And BTS Army, please know I'm trying earnestly and I want to be a part of your phenomenon of your army. So I'm working on
infantry.
it. Yeah.
When we first started talking about this, we said that's got to be the most engaged minor league baseball team tweet of all time, right? And then Ben remembered that the Durham Bulls had a tweet from last May. Chattanooga's tweet is closing in terms of retweets. Durham's tweet was this. Conservative pundit Ben Shapiro tweeted, "Bull Durham is the most overrated baseball movie ever." And the Bulls dunked on him by just quote tweeting it with, "You're overrated." That got 21,978 retweets. Chattanooga's is currently at 21,807. But Chattanooga's tweet has 63,914 likes. Durham's has 147,190 likes.
Yeah, so that's
people
still
like the
number
Durham
one.
Bulls crushing Ben Shapiro a little bit better, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, is this so indicative of American culture in the 2019 and that the two best performing tweets of all time are one a kind of like casual drive-by put down of a conservative commentator, and the other is a earnest celebration of a K-pop phenomenon.
It's never a dull day on minor league baseball Twitter.
No, and it keeps me young to always know what's going on in the culture. Happy birthday, J-Hope.
Yeah, happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday.
And you can follow BTS on Twitter at BTS_TWT, in case you were wondering. And Benjamin Hill you can find there at Ben's Biz. And from what I've heard, I don't think Ben is going to be the secret Oscars host on Sunday, but as we've learned in this segment, anything's possible via our partnership with the Academy. So, Ben, good luck if that's you.
Hey, that is right. Well, yeah, I can't divulge anymore, but I will be at the ceremony and be ready to be utilized for whatever they need me for.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Tyler. Thank you, Sam.
According to a Baseball Prospectus story from a while back, Portland Mavericks manager Frank Peters had to hire security guards to protect him from his own players, quote, including star Reggie Thomas, who punched him and threatened him with a shovel. What? So, Reggie Thomas, scary dude.
Yeah.
We don't know where he is.
Maybe we don't want to go to Boise to just track him down.
Or maybe he's just he's just that cool.
Yeah,
man.
or that.
He's just like, he couldn't handle it. He's like, I'm OPSing 900 for this team. Somebody sign me.
That's true. I will say, if you are listening, Reggie Thomas, we want to know your story.
Yeah, if you are anybody listening who knows anything about Reggie Thomas, we want to know the story. Because I just don't know how you put a line in a documentary like, oh, yeah, and then there was this one dude, and he was really good, and nobody ever heard from him, and there were rumors that he was an FBI informant, and also evidently pulled a gun on his manager once because he didn't see his name on the lineup card, according to a Seattle Times column. And maybe we don't want to meet Reggie Thomas. I would think by 72 he's mellowed out a little bit.
That could go the other way.
Yeah, that's true. It could go a little nuts. Reggie, we're open. We're open to it. We're open to your story. And if you want to get in touch, podcast at MILB.
As the Academy did to sponsor this podcast.
Exactly. We got an email from Prez at theacademy.com asking, you know what market we need to get into? Minor League Baseball podcasts. How would you guys feel about that? And we thought, yeah, I guess so. We should probably note we are not sponsored by the Academy, and we make no claim to actually being sponsored.
I will say this, though.
Thanks to
we have been acting this entire time. Just a thought.
Oh! See how
Just
good
a
we
thought,
are at
yeah.
it?
Voice actors.
Academy? I actually, for the last 3 months, have basically done nothing but vanish into the world of Red Dead Redemption 2. If you don't want to know anything about the guy who does the voice of Arthur Morgan, just turn off the podcast now. Because I know my former colleague with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, James Smythe, who's now a statistician with the Yes Network, James had an AOL email address like forever and never wanted to know what the guy who did the Welcome You've Got Mail, what he looked like. He never wanted to know what that guy looked like. I always found that fascinating. But the guy who does Arthur Morgan's voice is Irish. And that baffled me. So now
that makes me very happy. Obviously.
How did I get on that?
to bring this around to the Oscars.
Oh, voice.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, yeah.
To bring this back around to the Oscars, though, how has Sam Elliott not had like an entire cowboy video game based around his voice?
Yeah, that is true. That is true. You know, it's interesting. I actually read a pretty in-depth story about the creation of Red Dead 2, and Red Dead's creator said they did a game several years ago. I think it was one of the Grand Theft Autos where they brought in like actual big-name actors, and they said they were so difficult to work with that they were just like, we're not going to do that anymore. We'll work with anonymous voice actors. We're not going to deal with big personalities. But I feel like Sam Elliott would be. Sam
Elliott is currently in a movie about killing Hitler and Bigfoot. I can't imagine the guy has that big of a personality, or it would be like that difficult to deal with. I don't know. I've never met the man. He seems very charming. He has an excellent first name, but and an even more excellent voice. But I can't speak for him. But I watched The Star Is Born, and I'm just like, I just want you to be a cowboy forever and ever. And if Red Dead Redemption 3 comes out and Elliot doesn't have a small bit part, let's say, isn't like running a saloon somewhere, I'll be disappointed.
Yeah. I thought Bigfoot was like an American legend.
Oh,
they had Bigfoot in Europe?
Oh no, he's like an American soldier. It's this whole big. Go read the Wikipedia page on it. It is fascinating how this movie got made, and apparently it's supposed to be very good, and how much it just leans into how weird it is.
Huh. So far today we have covered Outlook password issues. Player from the Portland Mavericks who may or may not have been an FBI informant and disappeared, and Red Dead Redemption voice acting. We covered it all on the minor league baseball.
That's a full episode. I'd say.
We do it all for you. And we managed to talk some baseball in there as well. So if you want to get in touch with the show, we are at podcast@MILB.com. Sam's on Twitter at Sam Dykstra, MILB. I am at Tyler Mon. And that'll do it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.